Hey, hello everybody. You probably heard about the drama, the fight that's going on right now regarding the Ghostface mask. Well, guess what? I read the entire legal complaint, so you don't have to, and I'm going to provide you with the key points, the Cliff's Notes, if you will. So, in an interesting turn of events, a company named Alterian Ghost Factory is threatening copyright infringement litigation just weeks before Scream 7 is released. So, what's their issue? Well, they're claiming that they're the actual owners of the iconic Ghostface mask and not Funworld, the company that has been licensing the mask out for all Scream movies. Alterian said that Funworld had no right to license the mask out for movies because they, meaning Alterian, are actually the ones that created the underlying design for Ghostface. Now, one of the strangest things about this situation is that it has been 30 years. That's 3 decades, ladies and gentlemen. Funworld has been licensing the mask to studios for Scream movies for 30 years. And Alterian suddenly came out of nowhere to claim that they own the Ghostface mask? So is the owner of Alterian Rip Van Winkle? He was just sleeping and he just suddenly woke up from his long slumber? Again, it's been 30 years. Alterian has been sitting on this claim for decades, and here I thought I had a procrastination problem. Anyway, Paramount and Spyglass, the studio and production company behind the upcoming Scream 7, decided to beat Alterian Ghost Factory to the punch, and they sued them first. So why did they do that? They did it because Alterian is threatening to come after Funworld, and Paramount and Spyglass know that they will become collateral damage since they would have to pay millions of dollars to Alterian just before the movie premieres in order to use the mask. And of course, if they don't pay Alterian millions of dollars, Scream 7 will have to be pulled while the courts decide who is in the right. So obviously, this is the last thing Paramount and Spyglass need just weeks before the movie premiere, so that's why they sued Alterian first. And in their legal complaint, Paramount and Spyglass basically want the court to rule that Alterian cannot sue regarding this matter. Basically, they're trying to shut this down before it even starts. One of the attorneys for Paramount and Spyglass, Aaron Moss, said, Alterian has never legally established that it owns the rights to the Ghostface mask, and it will not be able to prove it now in this litigation. And seeking to disrupt the release of a completed motion picture mere weeks before the release, the 7th installment of a franchise that Alterian watched grow in silence for 3 decades, is an outrageous attempt to shake down Spyglass and Paramount. And here's the official legal complaint filed by the Paramount and Spyglass team against Alterian Ghost Factory. And I love the opening paragraph, which includes the following. It is a familiar trope of horror films that characters ignore danger until it is too late. In cinema, delay heightens suspense. In the law, unreasonable delay is called laches. And in appropriate circumstances, it can foreclose claims for relief. This is such a case. Defendant, the Alterian Ghost Factory, intentionally slept on its purported rights in the iconic Ghostface mask used throughout the Scream franchise for 30 years. Now, less than 4 weeks before Scream 7 is set to be theatrically released worldwide, Alterian has threatened litigation in an effort to strong-arm plaintiffs into paying it millions of dollars. And also in the legal filing, the Paramount and Spyglass attorneys mention how Scream started using the Ghostface mask in the first place. Here's a quote. The origin of that mask has been publicly recounted for decades. While location scouting in Northern California, one of the film's producers encountered the mask in an abandoned house. The production team traced it to Easter Unlimited Inc., DBA Funworld, a costume company that had been manufacturing and selling it since the early 1990s. Funworld licensed the mask for use in Scream and has done so for each installment since. For 30 years, that arrangement was never the subject of any claim or lawsuit by Alterian. Of course, Alterian is now claiming that the mask never belonged to Funworld, so Funworld didn't have the right to license it for any movies. Alterian says they came up with the underlying design first, and Funworld copied it decades ago. So, according to Alterian, their copyright has been infringed every time the mask has been used in a Scream movie. On their part, Funworld adamantly denies copying the Ghostface mask design. They maintain that they independently created the Ghostface mask in early 1991. They said any similarities between their mask and Alterian's design are simply due to similar inspiration. declaration. And the filing cites the famous Edvard Munch painting The Scream for reference. Alterian, on the other hand, is saying they designed a mask similar in appearance to the Ghostface mask in the early 1990s, which they called the Whaler mask. They claim that Funworld copied the Whaler mask when designing the Ghostface mask design. Alterian speculates that Funworld must have seen Alterian's mask at an industry trade show. But again, Funworld denies these claims. And you know what? This is also strange because again, Scream is not a random new movie. It's an extremely popular franchise that has existed for 30 years. How many times have I said 30 years already in this video? But come on, man, it's been 30 years. The original Scream revolutionized horror in the 90s. So it's so weird that Alterian sat on this for so long if they truly feel they own the Ghostface mask. And there was actually federal litigation back in 2020 when Funworld sued a third party claiming they had infringed the Ghostface mask. Funny enough, the founder and CEO of Alterian, Tony Gardner, supported the company that Funworld was suing by submitting a sworn declaration asserting that Alterian created the original design. Of course, that was just his word against Funworld because legally, Alterian had never sued Funworld for the rights to the Ghostface mask, and again, Alterian has never legally proven to own the Ghostface mask design. Interestingly enough, Gardner even admitted that Alterian never pushed legal action against Funworld despite knowing of Funworld's licensing for years, stating, "I have never taken action against Funworld. By the time I heard of them, I was too busy with original film projects to worry about an industry I'd left." In their recent legal filing, the Paramount Spyglass attorneys referenced that Gardner made similar statements for years, acknowledging his awareness of the mask's use in Scream, and he expressed no objection. He never sued or did anything. So there's proof that he's known about the mask's existence in the Scream franchise for a long time. Well, in that same 2020 lawsuit, a district court found that Gardner knew of Funworld's licensing potentially as early as 1996 and no later than 2003. The court held that Alterian would be barred by the statute of limitations from asserting ownership claims against Funworld based on its decades-long delay. Here is a quote. "Whether it has now been 25 years, 18 years, or somewhere in between, since Mr. Gardner first knew or had reason to know Funworld was licensing what allegedly was Mr. Gardner's mask, far more than the relevant 3-year statutory period has elapsed. Mr. Gardner is time barred from asserting a claim under the Copyright Act against Funworld." So that should have been the end of that, right? The court said that Mr. Gardner is time barred from asserting a claim under the Copyright Act against Funworld. Well, not so fast. Some people can't take a hint or a legal ruling. A few years later, in November 2023, Alterian actually obtained a copyright registration for their Whaler mask. However, it did not file a lawsuit against Funworld, Paramount, or Spyglass. The following year, in late July 2024, Alterian sent separate demand letters. They sent a letter to Funworld stating that they had infringed Alterian's copyright in their now copyrighted Whaler mask, and they threatened litigation against Funworld. And shortly thereafter, Alterian sent demand letters to Paramount and Spyglass as well. The following month, August 2024, Funworld responded to Alterian's demand. Funworld adamantly denied any infringement. They explained that they independently created its Ghostface mask in early 1991 without copying Alterian's Whaler mask. They said they hired a Hong Kong-based sculptor named Folk Lee as a work-for-hire artist to collaborate with in creating new Halloween masks. And one of the masks Mr. Lee created was the Ghostface mask, which was approved by Funworld's principal, Alan Geller, when he traveled to Hong Kong to review the designs. Paramount and Spyglass attorneys also responded to Alterian in August 2024. They stated that they had licensed the mask from Funworld, but either way, Alterian's claims were barred by the statute of limitations. Basically, you snooze, you lose. At the end of August 2024, Alterian responded to Funworld, reiterating its claims and demanding compliance by September 9th, 2024. Alterian's attorney said that if Funworld didn't comply by that date, Alterian will continue to vigorously pursue this matter, which may result in filing a complaint in federal district court against Funworld and Funworld licensees. and by licensees, they're referring to Paramount and Spyglass. Funworld did not comply with Alterian's deadline, and Alterian actually did not even file a lawsuit. Instead, the parties engaged in sporadic settlement discussions over the following months. And according to Paramount and Spyglass attorneys, those months of negotiating were punctuated by long periods of silence from Alterian, and no resolution was reached. More than 17 months after its original demand letter, Alterian escalated things. Through their attorneys on January 29, 2026, Alterian sent Paramount and Spyglass a demand letter threatening imminent litigation unless they received written confirmation by February 13, 2026 that Paramount and Spyglass would meet their monetary demands. Paramount and Spyglass attorneys pointed out in their preemptive suit against Alterian that Alterian was strategic with their timing of their demand letter. They waited until just before Scream 7's theatrical release to deliver its ultimatum. They said, Alterian seeks to use the prospect of disrupting a completed motion picture release to coerce a settlement far exceeding anything a court would award after trial. So what exactly does Paramount and Spyglass want the court to do regarding this preemptive lawsuit against Alterian? 4 things. They are: first, a declaration that plaintiffs, that would be Paramount and Spyglass, a declaration that plaintiffs are not liable for copyright infringement in connection with the asserted copyright. Second, a declaration that Alterian is barred from seeking or obtaining injunctive relief or other equitable relief against plaintiffs in connection with alleged infringement of the asserted copyright. Third, an award of plaintiffs' reasonable attorney's fees and costs pursuant to that code. And fourth, such other and further relief as the court may deem just and proper. Signed by attorneys for plaintiffs Spyglass Media Group LLC and Paramount Pictures Corporation. And if Alterian does sue, then basically they will likely ask for Scream 7 to not be released until the matter is resolved through the court, or Paramount and Spyglass can just pay them a lot of money if they want the movie to release on the scheduled release date. And again, this is why Paramount and Spyglass sued them first, basically to get the court to immediately shut down Alterian from even being able to sue them regarding this matter. And you know what? At face value, I'm rooting for Paramount and Spyglass in this situation because it's very shady for Alterian to wait to do all of this just weeks before Scream 7 is released. Because let's face it, they're messing with Scream fans. We're excited for this movie. We can't wait for this premiere. And remember, Alterian literally had 3 decades to do this and they waited until now. So their timing is not a coincidence, it's intentional. And let's be honest, for me at least, if I really thought I had created something that a different company copied and was now making millions and millions and millions of dollars by licensing it out for movies, I wouldn't wait 30 years to take action. I would get on it immediately. And maybe it's because I'm a regular person, I'm not rich, and maybe that's why. But I can't believe this situation is even a thing. Like I said a few times in this video already, you snooze, you lose. This video pulled heavily from the complaint filed by the Paramount and Spyglass attorneys, so it's going to be interesting to see what Alterian will do now that they were sued first. And it'll be interesting to see what kind of case they even make. But yeah, I cannot wait for Scream 7. Just so you know, I'm going to be releasing more Scream-related videos about other things leading up to the release date. And obviously, if there is an update with this whole situation with Alterian and Funworld, etc., I will release another video with an update. So if you like this video, like it, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.